The NFL season is over, and we have a Super Bowl champion, a back-to-back Super Bowl champion for the first time since the 2004 New England Patriots. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. This is Brandon Lewis, executive host, founder, and producer of Brandon's World. This is what we do from August, Labor Day weekend, of course, when we all make our official NFL predictions for the year. Then we watch week 1 through week 18 of the regular season. We watch teams evolve in September and October to November to December. Then we watch the playoffs in January, and then we watch the Super Bowl. And yes, when it looked like the Kansas City Chiefs, this was the year they were coming off a Super Bowl. Nobody has repeated as Super Bowl champions in 20 years because it's so damn hard that only the GOAT did it. When it looked like they had no receivers, when it looked like they could not catch the ball, when it looked like they could not create any explosive plays, when they were going through all the motions midway through the season, they had to deal with the Chris Jones holdout at the beginning of the season. Here they are, the Kansas City Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Andy Reid, Taylor Swift. They're fearless. They're shaking it off. They belong with us. It's a love story. It's enchanted. Whatever Taylor Swift song you want to use. The Kansas City Chiefs are the world champions of professional football on the National Football League. In a game that for 3 quarters was exactly what I expected it to be. Obviously, low scoring. We had turnovers early in the game from each side. Christian McCaffrey, first drive of the game, was a big one. I felt like for San Francisco because they were moving Kansas City off the ball. And then obviously the Isaiah Pacheco fumble right after Mahomes had the big play to I believe it was McCall Hardman, the very next play, Pacheco fumbles. From there, obviously, San Francisco was able to get the touchdown near the end of the half with Jennings on that great design, that misconception play to Christian McCaffrey for a touchdown, which at that point, I would think Jennings was going to win the MVP for San Francisco if they walked away from the game victorious. But the punt by Kansas City late in the third quarter after a bad interception by Patrick Mahomes to start the second half, which San Francisco could not capitalize on. That misplay on the fumble, which obviously led to the Scantling touchdown the very next play, I believe absolutely flipped the game. Now, I said coming into this game, I thought Kansas City was going to have to run the football to win this game. Isaiah Pacheco had his worst game of the season easily. I said that I thought San Francisco was going to do a good job on Travis Kelce. They not only did a good job on him in the first half, they did a great job on him in the first half. He had one catch for 1 yard, and it was on a screen pass on the second or third play of the game. I thought Kansas City, by the way, called way too many wide receiver bubble screens in the first half. It just looked very condensed. Outside of the Hardman shot, they did not take a lot of chances down the field. It looked like Patrick Mahomes was doing what Patrick Mahomes did early in the season, which was not trust not only the left but the right tackle, and Nick Bosa and Chase Young were getting consistent pressure along with Javon Hargrave, along with Eric Armstead up the middle. They were really flushing Mahomes. San Francisco came out red hot. Brock Purdy had over 100 yards passing in the first quarter. And as I mentioned prior to the McCaffrey fumble, they were moving it on the first drive. However, this game came down to plays and playmakers, and the defense for Kansas City made a huge stop. Obviously, the block PAT on the Purdy for the Jennings for a touchdown was the most critical play in the game. Next to the 3rd and 4, where the Kansas City defense also stopped San Francisco late in the game, which I thought San Francisco mismanaged the clock at that point when it was, 2 something left in change. And San Francisco had the opportunity to just milk the clock, get a couple yards at a time, get a first down, have an opportunity to kick the game-winning field goal without having Patrick Mahomes touch the football. We all knew if Patrick Mahomes was touching the football again, Kansas City was at least going to go down and tie the game, if not go down and win the game, because it's what the Kansas City Chiefs do, and it's what the San Francisco 49ers do. And that's that they choke. Kyle Shanahan now Obviously, the 28-3 lead against New England in the Super Bowl. Then against Kansas City 4 years ago, you're up 20-10 in the fourth quarter. You give up 21 points to lose that Super Bowl. And now here, we're going to Brock Purdy played a very good first quarter. I would say arguably a great first quarter. Between the end of the first quarter and midway for the third quarter, Brock Purdy only had 20 yards. And yet you guys are telling me he's a top 10 quarterback in the league and he's making all these great plays. Nah, as the great L.A. Knight, yeah, would say. Brock Purdy was not the reason why the Niners lost this game. I will give you that. I thought San Francisco's play calling late in the game was very conservative. They did not get Brandon Ayuk involved as much. They didn't even get Deebo Samuel involved as much. He had 11 targets and only 33 yards on the game. Christian McCaffrey, outside of Jennings, was San Francisco's best player offensively. And I could have made the argument that Jake Moody, who nailed 2 field goals, the rookie kicker out of Michigan from 55 plus, just drilling them. I could have made the argument that if San Francisco won this game, Jake Moody would have been the MVP because he made those kicks to put San Francisco in position to win the game. But the bottom line is, as we go to overtime, I think the biggest mistake the Niners made in overtime in this game was receiving the coin toss. As we all know, due to that extraordinary Bills Chiefs playoff game about 3 years ago, overtime rules have changed. Now, barring a defensive score, no matter the offensive team scores a touchdown, the other team is going to get a chance to get a possession. Therefore, in my mind, and I don't care how odd the other offense is on the other side of the ball, and I don't care about all these analytics and all that. You take a look at what's going on in this game. Both of these offenses, and San Francisco's this year, it's in more sports than Kansas City. But both of these offenses were really struggling in this game. There's a reason why it was 10-6 till late in the third quarter. There were 2 fumbles, yes, on both sides, and obviously the bad Mahomes pick. But really, the defenses were playing well. That they were getting on with 4. They were getting pressure on both the quarterbacks. They were rattling both signal callers. It really was a field position game. Even though Kansas City just rolled down and got the ball. If I'm San Francisco, I do not want my defense on the field deciding the game. I want my offense on the field deciding the game, and I trust my defense to at least hold Kansas City to a field goal. Because if I do that, I know a field goal ties the game, but a touchdown wins the game. Instead, the Niners win the toss, they receive, they go down, they obviously kick a field goal, and then we all knew what was going to happen after an incredible 4th-and-1 play call, which I thought was really clever, where you have Kelce kind of on a boot slide, and Mahomes has the option either hand it off, throw it to Kelce, or take the triple read option. He obviously, after they cover Kelce and they cover the back, he decided to take it himself for a first down. At that moment, we all knew Kansas City was going to at least tie the game. And then that beautiful play, which they call corn dog, apparently, where the receiver runs and everybody that has at least a knowledge of what a defense trying to do, man versus zone coverage when you watch football, is everybody knows that the reason why you motion as an offensive play caller is to get the tell, whether it's man coverage or zone coverage. If it's zone coverage, a linebacker or a corner, whoever is supposed to quote unquote match up with the offensive receiver, they're not going to go with him. They're just going to stay in that zone and they're going to sort of do a match, and the person on the other side will pick him up. If it's man coverage, the corner, the safety, or linebacker is going to run with the person in motion across the field, usually. But what Kansas City has done now in back-to-back Super Bowls, whether it's the Super Bowl, which you can look this up 1 year ago today, was the Chiefs-Eagles classic Super Bowl 57, where I came on here the next day and absolutely bawled my eyes out as a Philadelphia Eagles fan because that game was so painful. The way we obviously blew that 20-10 lead at halftime, the holding call and all of that old deal, which early on in this game, by the way, Trent Williams got a holding call. Trump Williams got a couple of false start penalties. I really like, Bill Vinovich's crew decided they're not going to essentially call flags in the second half unless it's egregious, which we saw in that old, early on in overtime, which I thought for a second was saving San Francisco. But nonetheless, McCall Hardman running in motion. The DB for San Francisco is running with him. Kansas City knows it's man, but the DB for San Francisco thinks he's going to run across the field. Instead, Hardman cuts back, and because he's already on the other side of the field, there's nobody in man coverage. He's wide open. Touchdown, ball game. Clever play calling, clever design by Andy Reid, Matt Nagy, and the Kansas City Chiefs staff, and Patrick Mahomes, Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce, Chris Jones, Ladarius Sneed, Trey McDuffie. The Kansas City Chiefs are world champions. As I said, this was a game that I thought was going to be low scoring. I picked the over under 47.5 in my best bets. I chose the under. I hit that. I had a Christian McCaffrey anytime touchdown, which I also hit. The two I missed on my best bets were obviously Isaiah Pacheco, Travis Kelce, anytime touchdown scores. We were close on both on a couple of occasions. They were just not meant to be. McCall Hardman and VS were the two guys that got touchdown passes from Patrick Mahomes. Listen, we all know the Super Bowl is a spectacle. It's where fans that don't even know anything about football watch the game, and your aunts and your uncles and your grandparents, everybody wants to know, who are you rooting for the big game? Who's going to win the big game? Because everybody just wants to have fun and they have no idea what's going on. Everybody wants to watch Usher. But the fact of the matter is, this Super Bowl featured the two best teams, I believe, in the NFL over the last half decade, that being the Chiefs and the Niners. And the Chiefs, once again, Andy Reid proving why, in my opinion, he is about to surpass Bill Belichick, especially if he gets one more Super Bowl, as the greatest head coach of all time. He has progressively gotten better as his career is going on, evolving with the game as an offensive-minded head coach, and his coaching tree is out of this world, obviously, as opposed to Belichick in New England, who's gotten rigid. Belichick only won with Brady, and while Belichick does have 8 Super Bowls, if you include the 2 with the defensive coordinator, with the Giants before obviously he got the head coaching job in Cleveland. We know Bill Belichick's head coaching career, in my opinion, is tied to one player, that being Tom Brady. Andy Reid made Super Bowls without it now. He got to many playoffs with Jeff Garcia, AJ Thiele, Alex Smith, many different quarterbacks. Now, he didn't win a Super Bowl prior to Patrick Mahomes, but we know you need that guy to win a Super Bowl. The only person that thinks that you don't need that guy to win the Super Bowl is Kyle Shanahan in San Francisco, because they think you can win a Super Bowl with Jimmy Garoppolo and with Brock Purdy, which outside of Nick Foles has just not been the case. And you could argue Joe Flacco, but Joe Flacco was a top tier quarterback for Baltimore. He just didn't have that performance in the playoffs that he went on to do in that 2012 season, where obviously Nick Foles came out of nowhere for the Philadelphia Eagles. But it's very rare to win a Super Bowl with an average or below average quarterback. Again, that's what I think Brock Purdy is. I think he's a product of the system. I think San Francisco is going to be damaged by this. Now, their roster is still good. Javon Hargrave, a defensive tackle, as we mentioned, Kinlaw, Bosa, Chase Young. Obviously, all their offensive pieces, they're going to be very good next year. But now they have to go for the Lions once again, who are going to be very good. I think Philadelphia is going to be right back in the picture. We'll see what Dallas does. Green Bay is going to get better. I think Chicago, if Caleb Williams pops, is a very interesting team. AFC side, with all those going of quarterbacks. And with Jim Harbaugh coming in now as the division rival, Kansas City and Patrick Mahomes, it's going to be very tough for them to repeat. But obviously, we never doubt Andy Reid. We never doubt the power of Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift. Kansas City, they may be able to shake off whatever rust they get coming out of next season and go on to win a repeat. But I thought this was a masterful job of coaching and everything going on from the Chiefs. They obviously covered the 2.5 point spread, which I picked. We went 3 for 5 in my best bets. I mentioned we had the spread of the game. We had McCaffrey touchdown. with the under of the first quarter, which was 8.5. Obviously, it was a 0-0 game. I wanted to bet the under total as well of 47.5, but I did not want to duplicate that on my best bets. Why I went with Pacheco and Kelce anytime touchdowns. But I thought the Super Bowl experience overall was good. I thought Jim Nantz and Tony Romo did an excellent job on the broadcast. I thought Phil Simms, JB James Brown, Bill Cowher, Boomer Esiason, and Nate Burleson did an excellent job in the NFL on the CBS pregame show. I thought the game was okay and obviously picked up weight in the fourth quarter. I did not love the commercials this year. I thought they were stale. I did not think that they were funny. I did not think that they were any creative. So overall, this Super Bowl was what I was expecting it to be. A decent game between two very good teams. And overall, cemented Patrick Mahomes, obviously the best quarterback in the game, and gave Andy Reid one step closer to becoming the GOAT NFL head coach. I do not think Patrick Mahomes has surpassed Tom Brady yet. I think Tom Brady having 7 Super Bowls, Mahomes having 3, that's too big of a gap right now. And the fact that Brady beat Mahomes head to end in a Super Bowl right now also puts sort of an asterisk, if you will, on Mahomes' case to be the GOAT. Like that clip from the Brands World podcast? If so, make sure you go down there and hit that subscribe button. While you're down there hitting the subscribe button, make sure to also hit the notification bell so you never miss another upload. And make sure you check out all the other clips from the Brands World podcast right here on YouTube.